biz. Oh, you go. Oh, yeah, there you go.
I'm gonna start the recording right now.
Uh-huh.
So everything's in place.
Rod, I don't know if there's a setting for when we go into our breakout rooms. I don't know. I don't know if that was always a problem before. Like breakout rooms didn't get recorded. Only the main breakout room gets recorded.
Oh, that's a good point. Actually, I need to select the people manually because I can assign you like co-host. So I think like,
Oh, okay.
oh, I can make a co-host and then I can make you a co-host as well. Yeah, so you're a co-host, like you enjoy a co-host. And then I guess instead for the breaking rooms, I need to assign you manually because otherwise you can end up like you two together in the same breakout room. And I don't want to do that, definitely.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so.
And I'm assuming you're just gonna stay in the primary room, right?
Yeah, so Joy is gonna start talking at some point, and then I'm gonna just jump into the rooms and start selecting the people.
Okay. That sounds great.
Yeah, like in a minute. Like 1 minute after you wipe your hands, because I think, you know, I'm gonna give you.
Or maybe we'll turn.
Yeah, so
I'm gonna turn unmute participant themselves off right now. Maybe we'll
Yes,
turn
please.
that back on in breakout room.
Oh, yeah. Set under.
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't know where their settings are.
It's under security.
Oh,
yeah. Did you put it in security? Okay, so
Yeah, I
Yeah.
unchecked participants unmuting themselves.
oh, thank you, Joy.
so many
Yeah.
features they've had to list, like hide behind like tiny little things they don't tell anyone about. And they have to
Yeah.
educate them much later because they're like adding these features as it goes. Oh,
Mhm.
see.
Hello, everybody. How are we today? Hello, Ben. Ben to Melly. Yes. Hello, Jasmine. Hello, Antonio. We have like a few people join. So we're gonna wait a few minutes since the people is joining to the event. So we're gonna keep waiting for a few minutes. So please bear with us. A few more join and then. So since we are just waiting here, if you want to share where you're from in the chat, that would be great to see like where the people are coming from to this event. I can see Aaron said like he's from Canada. Byron Bay, Australia. Oh, very close. I'm in New Zealand. India, that's good. Welcome. Sweet as bro. Sweet as bro. That's very Kiwi. India as well. Yeah, exactly. Chris just mentioned before, we're gonna start sharing the Miro board very soon. We just want to introduce you to a few slides before to just jump into the Miro board. But don't worry, you're gonna have access to the Miro board and you can come back when you want to later on after this workshop. Toronto, yeah, Atlanta, sweet.
Mm-mm.
I think the only people we're missing are Europe folks, right? Because it's like midnight over there.
Oh, yes, exactly. So that should be like midnight over there, right? Oh, so we have more participants on the others. Oh, we have like 2 windows. Austin, Texas, welcome. We see like mostly people from USA, people from India, some people from Australia and New Zealand as well. Hello from Sydney, Australia. Welcome. Hawaii. Wow. Welcome. Thanks for joining, Carmen. Yeah. Yeah, Chris is in LA.
Model behavior, right?
Yeah. Antonio, I'm in Auckland, New Zealand. Where are you? To K Road? That's at K Street. Yeah, that's perfect. Oh, so we're in the same city. So I have someone from the same city as well. Welcome, Antonio. Hi, Helen from Auckland. I know Helen. Thank you, Helen. Yeah, so this can checking. We're just gonna wait for a few minutes. So pretty much we're gonna just, I don't know, allow like 2 minutes more to just wait for everyone to join to the session, and then we're gonna kick off. If you are like just joining to the session, just please share where are you from. That will be like very nice to see where are you coming from anywhere in the world. Hello, hello everybody. India, Jakarta. Okay, sweet. Texas, USA. Welcome. I can see some people, they are like, it's very late for them. It's a little bit dark. Yeah. Here in New Zealand is 3 p.m. A beautiful Saturday. We're a little bit ahead. And USA is in the Pacific area, in San Francisco area, in Los Angeles, it's like 6 p.m. if I'm correct.
Yep.
Dinner time.
Some people asking if we are sharing the recording. Yes, definitely we are sharing the recording after this session. I 100% encourage everyone to join to the session. And then if you have a computer, just trying to join to the session, because we're gonna do like some practical exercises. So that is when you need to put your hands on. Definitely we're gonna share the recording, but 100% I encourage you to stay here and take the exercises. Yeah, exactly, Antonio. We live in the future. We're one day ahead of everyone else. Cool. So it's like 3 or 5. I don't know how many people we have at the moment. I cannot see remember, but okay. So we're gonna just start like kicking off, because otherwise we're gonna just get too late, and we don't want to take like much of your time. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining this session. My name is Rod, and I'm co-hosting this session with Joy and also Chris, who are like next to me. Wave your hand, guys. So just a few rules just before to start and kicking off. The first one is like turn off your microphone. You're gonna have like in some point you're gonna have like the chance to just share your ideas, but just because we're like starting, just turn it off, please. The second one is we have like a few exercises when we need to share like our thinking with the rest of the participants. So it's just very important to just be kind and respectful with the rest of the team and the rest of the people. Just be a good person. And the last one is just following exactly the previous one. Listen to your peers. There are no dumb questions. There are no dumb answers. We are all trying to improve ourselves here. So please just be respectful with everyone's opinion. So we're gonna start moving today, and thank you just for joining for the Facilitation 101. We're going to run this first session, what is like more like, we're going to do a planning session today. And there is like pretty much like the goal for today. We're going to start like with Facilitation 101, how you do the planning in design thinking workshop. What is like quite important. We have seen with Chris and also Joy, we have seen like people, they can like fail in the pretty much like the first assignment because they don't know how to do it, or there is not much preparation. So thank you very much everyone for joining. A little bit about like the facilitators today is, I'm going to start with myself. I'm Rod. My name is Rodrigo, but just call me Rod. I'm here. I work at Journey Digital in Auckland, New Zealand. I'm a user experience designer and also a design strategist. So what I do is I just look after a system and I try to understand how the system works to just provide solutions. So pretty much like not much in the space of problem solving, more so about like looking into the future of opportunities for businesses. I consider myself a business-driven designer because I like to provide also a return of investment for every project I work. I think it's just very important, like designers just give that piece as well, especially when we are not only designers, we do stuff that are like very beautiful. Also, we need to think about like how we are going to be sustainable through the time, and we're going to provide that information, and we're going to be able to just to return that investment to the businesses. And finally, I do CrossFit. I love to read. Pretty much like if you have like any reading recommendation, I would like to hear your ideas or just put them in the chat. I'm pretty much like into everything that is like design thinking, design service, design strategies. So if you have any recommendation, please just put it on the chat. And then finally, I'm gonna kick off with an icebreaker today for the rest of these two facilitators, for Chris and for Joy. And it's pretty much like, if you are a kitchen utensil, which one you will be? Personally, I would say I'm a nutcracker because I like to take the problem. I would like to like go inside and start like cracking till like I can see a hole, and then I can say, yes, sweet, I can go a little bit like deeper, and then I can get a little bit deeper. So I start like cracking the problem till I get to the core. So right now, after me, I'm gonna introduce you to Joy. So
All right,
to you,
thank
Joy.
you. Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Joy Liu. I am currently a UX designer at ServiceNow, which is an enterprise company. So I'm working on enterprise UX at the moment. In my past experience, I've also worked on consumer product, from search to even like appliance UX. So those are really fun because you get to do hardware and software UX. I also teaches interaction design, specifically system thinking, at CCA in San Francisco, part-time. Outside of that, I love collaboration. So as you can see, this is why I'm co-hosting this design thinking workshops, because I just love, if there's a problem, getting into a room and solving it with not just designers, but also engineers, PMs, and I also love my cats. And if I have to talk about a kitchen utensil, my current favorite that I would love to be is the kitchen utility tongs, right? They're like little, I don't know, they're so versatile, right? It's like, and then especially the silicone ones, so they're not metal, so like you can use it to cook things, to like grab things, hold things, turn things over, and then it's just awesome. All right, and on to Chris.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining. Joy, that was great. Actually, Joy and I have education at the same school, which is great. We went to the Art Center College of Design here in Pasadena. And I myself am a product designer, educator, author. I have a book on Amazon called Learn HDI. You can check it out. That'd be great. I also have been educating in the design and design thinking space for more than 15 years. And I have a new month-old baby. So if you hear something crying in the background, that might be her because she's hungry. And if I was a kitchen utensil, I'm looking around because I'm like actually in my kitchen. I would be probably the hand a coffee funnel for pour over, because I have to drink a lot of coffee right now just to keep awake. And they're super functional, and it funnels ideas through the caffeine. That usually helps. Yeah, this is we've been playing this a couple times. So every time I change my my utensil, I don't stick with the same one all the time. So,
Cool. Awesome.
back over to Joy.
I think I'm gonna take over first. Just if you have if you know your kitchen utensil, also you would like to participate, I encourage you to just write your kitchen utensil, which one and why in the chat. That will be very it will be great to read your responses as well. So I'm gonna run you through the quick agenda before to jump into hand over to Joy. Pretty much the agenda for today is we're going to talk about the goals and expectations for this session. Just very quickly before to jump enjoy. We're going to spend after that something around 20 minutes when we're going to divide into rooms. We're going to divide into 3 groups. And then we're going to come back later after 20 minutes. And then we're going to discuss the findings. And the minute you're going into the breakout room, Chris is going to first Joy is going to explain a little bit about the workshop. Chris will give the instruction before to jump into the breakout rooms. Then when we are in the breakout rooms, you're going to be with your facilitator. That could be Team Joy, Team Chris, or Team Rod. We put some signage in the mirror board, and also we will send you the link before to just break the rooms. That's very important. And then that you will have the instance to just share your thoughts and ideas in that session. And then we're going to come back and we're going to discuss these ideas, and we're going to open up to questions if you have any questions at the end. Finally, not least, is we have a form at the end. It's a Google form. If at the end of this workshop, if you can provide any feedback, if you are happy, you find it quite interesting, or you think actually this was rubbish, you are very happy to just share all your knowledge. You can go 100% with no name and email. We just want to hear what you want to say. So pretty much for the goals and expectation for today is, so this one is something we discussed before, is about the pre-workshop planning ideation. So everything today is about setting the structure and just defining those basic pillars to just set up a good workshop. How we are gonna define those pillars, how the ideas, which one are the goals, stepping back before to just jump in the workshop, a little bit stepping back and just keep thinking what we need to get done before to do those kind of stuff. Is just thinking about the goals, thinking about the exercises, or which one is the outcome we want to get before to do the workshop. It's those kind of basic questions we want to solve before to just start planning. And then we're gonna run the exercise when we're gonna start planning. But it will be very interactive, and it will be very fun. And then at the end, it's another question, kind of a common question. But is you finish a project and you don't know if the project was successful. That is also one of the questions you need to ask kind of in your workshop. How do you define success? Every time when you start a project, it's how do you define success? That means more sales, more, I don't know, more leads, contact leads. It's kind of those kind of stuff to define it at the end if you were successful or not. So right now I'm gonna hand over to Joy, who will introduce you into our thinking.
All right, so I'm gonna pull back the curtain a little bit to our planning process for this talk. So a bunch of us just got into a room, and then we're facilitating a facilitation workshop. So we got a little bit meta. And as we were discussing, the group kind of narrowed down our direction into the preparation process, because that's kind of what you don't normally hear about. And we all know about the design thinking methodology. There's a lot of readings online, right? There's also a formula. Some of them even have a pre-planned workshop out, but it really comes down to the team and the people you invite into the workshop. So I feel basically today we're going to talk about preparation and setting up a structure for your workshop. And we know the double diamonds. However, as a facilitator, you should really start way ahead, right? So it's we should start here. That's way before the double diamond appears. And next slide, Rod, please. All right, so here are a couple of best practices that I'd like to go through, and Chris and Raj, please feel free to chime in as well. So this is a high level outline of what to expect is in the pre-planning stage. You should always set up an agenda, right? It's to help you figure out what activities you want to run, but as well as a facilitator, keeping track of time and the goal of the workshop is really important. So by creating an agenda, you're helping yourself to mentally prepare for what's to come. And also if there's any adjustments to be made, you know how to make it and just be flexible. Also weeks ahead of the actual workshop or days ahead, you should work with stakeholders to align on the goals of the workshop, right? It's always good to get a sponsor for this, especially because if this is a strategic workshop, something with a high level goal, you definitely want that to be realized, right, at the end of the day. So it's always good to get buy-ins and make sure that you can actually turn ideas into actions. And the third one is number of participants, knowing who to invite and their roles are important, right? Finding the guest list. So you don't want just all designers, right? I think it's always good to have a mix of business people, like biz dev, they're great brainstorming people, engineers, but also the different levels of engineering. If you're working on, if your product is data integration related, right? Having some like architect or analytic expert would be awesome. And then just also thinking about if you have lightning talks or if you have guest speakers, right? Understanding who to invite to those would be great too. Once you lock down the participants, finding a date and time is important, right? And then just block it off as soon as you figure out who to invite and just you don't even need to send out the agenda yet, right? Just send out a save a date and make sure no one is out of office. No one has other important meetings that they have to go and skip your workshop. So that's important. Identify buddy participants. I also kind of call this planted audience is looking at your guest list. If this is a big workshop, you might want to like define a couple of group leaders who would help support you, right? Or as well as co-facilitator. Especially if, like, for example, today's talk, we have a lot of people, so we actually have co-hosts, right? So that way, if you split off into groups, there's a little group leader who can help keep track of your activities. You can also have a timekeeper. You can also have a note taker, even though most of the time facilitator is probably writing on sticky notes themselves. It's important to get a decider as well. And then this is probably someone who is a primary stakeholder. But this decider person is super useful if there are two ideas that are both really strong, right? And then the group can't reach a consensus. This way you can kind of just put it off to the decider and say, because of time, right, we gotta just pick one and move forward. Decider, now it's your role. It's your job to decide. So that's also a good tip.
Another one there is making groups that are odd numbers. The reason like the spring court is 9, like it's runs the same thing, so you don't get too many even numbers.
Oh, nice. I didn't know about that one. I need to make note of that. All right, and then reserving your space. So if you are in a physical location, obviously you probably need to book a large conference room in advance. Nowadays, we're all doing digital brainstorming, digital workshops. So my go-to is having a mural board, just like what we're doing here, setting up a mural board beforehand, setting up the activities beforehand. So it's kind of like a worksheet. I feel like everyone loves a worksheet, right? Because it gives you a very clear sense of direction on how to fill it out, what to fill in. And then if you have any like cool little stickers or like a little pointy finger, right? Like it's like little digital stickers that you can have on your digital whiteboard as well. All right, part 2, defining and communicating workshop roles. So setting the expectations of what the workshop is going to be, right? I think this is where you would send out like having like a little welcoming email, right? This is also where you would update your save the date to the actual workshop details on the calendar, and then say, okay, this is what we're doing. Here are some high level things to expect. Here are some pre-read if you have any, right? So people can start preparing themselves. Educate them on participation and defining what the workshop should be, right? What they should expect, etc., so that they can come prepared. When you are in the workshop, and this is something that I will talk about in the following slide, is communicating workshop rules. So setting up a social contract so everyone is aligned. And then lastly, when the workshop wraps, it's always good to do a recap with key takeaways so people know, okay, what's the next step, right? Where are we gonna go? So this could be an email recap, and maybe you can take photos or screenshots. You can also even share out the mural board for other people to see. All right. Next slide.
In terms of like the workshop rule, you just can do it like very easily as we did at the beginning. You just can put one slide at the beginning and say like, just these are the house rules and you have to follow them, or this one is the outcome. Just put like those kind of stuff at the beginning that are very helpful for the rest of the team.
Yeah. All right. So as a facilitator, you are pretty much the rule setter. And what I like to do is, and I've seen this done really well too when other people are facilitating, is making a social contract with your participants so that you can establish what are the acceptable behaviors in the workshop and then what are not acceptable behaviors during the workshop. So as a facilitator, you can promise, right, that we're gonna meet our workshop goal. We will start on time and on time, right? You will promise to give everyone breaks. You will also give everyone a voice, right? There's always going to be some people who are quieter, some people who are more outspoken, and you can promise to also keep the energy high and keep the momentum going. And similarly, for the participant side, they should promise to keep an open mind, right? Otherwise, there's really no point of the workshop. Defer judgment, right? And then we should always encourage wild ideas. And then the fourth point is one of the most important one, is to stay focused, right? That means laptops down, phones out, right? There's no checking emails or chats. And then because we are gonna be doing a lot of sketching, crazy eights, that sort of things, the participants should be encouraged to be visual as well. And then last but not least, building on the ideas of others. So it's always a yes and. Any other tips and tricks or guidelines, Rod or Chris?
Yeah, I mean, as a facilitator, I think a really important thing is you're trying to show, like, you're a catalyst, so you get the thing started. And if you see people that are like quiet or not doing things or shying away, like your role is to support and make sure everyone is participating. So it that means like in a physical space, that means roaming around and like seeing people's ideas. That means like if you're using Post-it notes, that means you're moving Post-it notes for people around. Like you're not forcing everyone to do all the things. You can like get that moving and kind of encourage that. Like, and also you're a timekeeper. So you're like you got 5 minutes left, like give me 5 more ideas, like keep going. Like your role is not to like overpower or be the idea generator necessarily. Like you're there to facilitate that out of everyone else. And so the goal is just to see how, and everything has people work and then they fall off, and your role is to keep them kind of the energy high, keep them moving on stuff and keep the ideas moving.
Yeah, that's a very good tip. Don't try to dismiss people's ideas. Just try to give like the good ideas as well. Just try to encourage people. If someone come up with an idea and it's not good enough, just trying to just encourage that people to just come up with more ideas. It's a good idea. We can keep moving forward. What is the next one? The other one is like, it's your house. So you set the rules. And that is very important because like you might have like some participants, they have like a lot of energy and they want to take over the rest of the conversation. And that is quite common. It's just good to just kind of like cut off that people and say like, that's good, that's a good idea. We need to just be 100% clear. Like we need to allow the rest of the people to talk. Just be clear about those kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Tangents
Sorry.
happen, but you got to find a way to bring them back. Because
Yeah.
tangents are typical.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Joy.
one tip of bringing people back is you can actually blame the rules. You can be like, hey, remember, we all promised to do this, and I promised for everyone to stay on time and end on time. All right, so now we're gonna move forward, right? And then if you have that person who talks too much and it's like, all right, we're gonna give this other person a chance to speak because I promised to give everyone a voice at the beginning of the workshop. So you can definitely rely on this and you can feel less bad about interrupting people.
Exactly. There is in terms of that idea, there is something that I do is I set a car park. So when someone starts like talking too much about one idea, I'm like, yeah, that's great, but it's a little bit like away from like our main goal today. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna take your idea, put it in the car park, and we're gonna come back to that one later, so that people knows that actually that idea is gonna be heard in some point.
Mhm.
Cool.
Great.
Yeah.
Great tip.
So let's get moving forward to just be on track with the time. And now it's playtime. So we're gonna break into rooms, and I guess Chris he's gonna introduce us to the exercise.
Yeah, great. So as we were just discussing some of those tips for doing an activity, what facilitators do, we're actually going to now model this behavior for you guys by doing an activity with all of you as participants. So Rod is going to share out a mural board, which is a link to this, and then I'll kind of talk about this. But what our goal is today in this is we're going to spend about 20 minutes, and we're going to facilitate some ideas around a strategy workshop. And the goal of us today is, and myself and Rod are all kind of help facilitate, model some of this behavior, and everyone's going to participate in creating ideas for an end. And our goal is to come up with some ideas that we can slot into a loose agenda. We may not get to the whole agenda, which is fine, but we're going to come up with some ideas. Each of us will kind of run that kind of role. And once you get in there, Rod will break us into breakout rooms. So each of us will kind of have our own space, and then we'll have a short relationship there, and then we'll keep on time, and then we'll all come back and share some of the insights of what we learned and what each of our teams kind of created for this short agenda.
Exactly. So
facilitating.
Yeah. So pretty much like we have like the 3 people here. I'm gonna share the link on the chat, so you just can go straight into the Miro board now. And then I'm gonna start like breaking the room. So I'm gonna give you like a few minutes to just join to the Miro board, and then I'm gonna start like breaking the rooms. If you ended up with Chris, you just follow Chris facilitator. Me, you just follow the line. If it's Joy, you just follow the line. So just give me 1 minute, and I will start like breaking into rooms.
Here comes everybody into the rooms. I see that here.
And then if you find that there are way too many cursors, you can also turn it off in the upper right-hand corner next to the little megaphone icon. There's a little arrow icon, so you can turn off cursors. I find that to be very helpful when there are way too many cursors flying around.
I like the bus. But I can get when you get too many, I can understand how that's why they included that feature.
I think like I'm almost ready to just break the room. I can't assign myself to the last one, but I guess I can join to that one. So we have like Team Joy, Team Chris, and my team, and I'm gonna just now recreate the rooms. So pretty much like I'm gonna stop sharing my screen, and then we can follow to the frame in Miro. Just remember, if you are Team Chris, you just follow the line, and you're gonna end up in that frame. We'll see you in 20 minutes, and I'm gonna set a timer. So we're gonna come back in 20 minutes. Oh, sorry. What? It's asking me to do the rooms again. Sorry for this, guys. So I need to do Chris first. Yes, we have to join.
Oh. Cool. It seems like now we are all back. Welcome back, everybody. Hopefully you had fun and it was not too rushed. I feel like a little bit I was like rushing with my team in terms of like you had like 1 minute, 2 minutes, 1 minute, 2 minutes. Sorry for that, but in terms of the time, we are just wanted to give you like the best experience, and we are trying to get like as much as possible in the time. We don't want to take like much time away from you guys. So I want to start sharing my screen, and then we can do like some discussion about like what we have seen. Do you want to jump first, Chris, and then? Oh, give me 1 sec. I'm turning this over. Can everybody see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good.
Yes.
I don't know why I can't zoom in. Oops. Okay, cool. Do you want to be Chris, the first one to just share a few ideas about your team?
Yeah, that'd be great. Actually, if you can scroll down to our workspace.
Yeah, absolutely. This is Team Chris. Yes.
Yeah, Team Chris. So
Yeah.
one of the things that right away as we started to kind of see is like we could quickly get some ideas to group, right? Like the icebreakers, which we kind of modeled one, but like a lot of like, oh, there's the favorite childhood thing, the favorite TikTok, you know, like the favorite idea. Like there's lots of things you could do around favorites, but you get that kind of grouped pretty quick in the icebreakers. And we also kind of quickly made a decision that like that doesn't last very long. It's like it's 5 minutes worth of an intro, right? And so even in the intro, it's like, great, we've defined that. We've all kind of settled on something of here. You know, our team could maybe have done, if we would have had more time, we would have probably done another round of like, hey, we did an initial pass on voting. Let's actually take another pass and translate that. And then we didn't get too deep into the actual agenda, but we started to do things that were really kind of top level, like welcome, where does the break exist? What are we doing in the completion? And these buckets kind of, in even a short amount of 20 minutes with 10 of us, we quickly got to a number of really kind of meaningful ideas that that like bubbled up to the top. And if you did this for longer, you would see that like you would probably do more rounds of voting, or you would kind of translate that. If you were working with your team, you could then put this agenda together in a relatively short amount of time, which I hope all of you kind of could see how a workshop like this could actually do that.
Cool.
And making a visual is really important, right? Like you can see where things like Crazy Eights makes it into the session, and why it's 20 minutes, and why this thing is 8 minutes, and then you could nuance or you know, pull that time together faster.
Cool.
So, cool. I'm gonna throw it back to you, Rod, if you or to Joy.
Joy, do you want to share yours?
Yeah, so we ran a brainstorm session on our ideas, and when we did our dot voting on the activity, so it was fun. We didn't really get to building the agenda, kind of similar to Chris. I'm gonna do a little bit of retro. It's more like setting up and then asking people to get to this mural board took a little bit of a time, right? So we
Yeah.
had to make sure everything is set up and ready to go. And then the brainstorming session went really well on just having people post ideas. And then we also did a little bit of affinity diagramming where we're matching up similar activities.
Yeah.
And then I just started dropping dots in here and let people do some dot voting themselves, so we don't have to all talk at once.
Yeah.
And then we ran out of time because we were just discussing all the different exercises.
Cool. I'm gonna share like a quick ideas about like my one. So wait, yeah. So first, from my point of view, we did like a little bit something different. We kind of like we asked for the goals from the session first, so people came back with ideas in terms of like what we want to establish for the workshop first. For like if we have like any session what we want to like think before, like for example, people is like, oh, we want to establish like good practices for like next year, define the roadmap, or like more like be like more financial accountable in those kind of stuff. Then we start like coming up with ideas. I know you did voting. We didn't do voting. We were like just more like more like ideation session. And then people came up with like a few ideas for icebreaker, a few ones very interesting. Then we start like in terms of the goals, we kind of like next to we put the goals on the side, one disappear here. And the people start like saying like which one will be like those exercises that align with those goals. So for example, if you want to plan the timeline 2022, what kind of exercise you will set for like just run those kind of goals. And then finally, we start like running out of time. So we just decided to jump into the agenda. And for like jumping into the agenda, we kind of like, I just let everyone to just come up with an agenda. And then I was like mentioning and said like, oh, break this a little bit more, be a little bit more kind of like consider a little bit more of time or buffer time, have a break if you have like 45 minutes, because that attention span sometimes just 45 to 50 minutes. Cool. Coming back to that, I think right now what we're gonna do is we're gonna open to questions. Is anyone has a question, just put it on the chat or just unmute yourself, and we are happy to just go do like a few minutes for like just open questions, if you have any.
Yeah, and I know that we're at time, so if some of you have to drop off,
yeah,
we totally understand. But we're willing to stay a little longer. We ran a little long. Just that's the nature of. We were like, oh, we're already tight anyways, but we were kind of willing to stay around. So, hope it was kind of fast paced, but
yeah. I think people asked before, are we going to share the recording? Yes, we will share it later on. I just want to recap on that. Chris also mentioned his book in the chat. So if you want to find his book, just click on it. It's a little bit on the top of the chat. Any question you might have related to the facilitation workshop? Or anything you would like to say? Hello.
Oh, hello. Just checking whether you guys introduce music into your sessions, particularly for brainstorming or to set a bit of a mood.
Who wants to take the lead on that? Chris?
I'll take that one. That's a good question. One of the challenges there, that really depends on like if it's in a physical space, like how the music is facilitated to some extent. Like if it's your phone that you just like turn on and it's like playing in a conference room, not so great, right? But and also depending on the time. So if you have a longer session to like come up with ideas, sometimes music can create a mood. Sometimes music is actually best at the beginning, like the elevator music of like getting people excited, they come in and then music goes down to like talk and do things and then comes back up as you kind of get at other things. Sometimes that can be part of the icebreaker, and you can create, the facilitator can actually like, oh, cool, well, let's play that song to get excited about what we're working on or whatever that is. That can be kind of useful. Like let's build playlist together in 5 minutes or whatever, and everybody lists a song. If you have Spotify pulled up, you can do that like in the spot. So great question.
I'm gonna redirect a few. Sorry, Ben.
Oh, yeah. For me, I found that having a playlist beforehand is really helpful, especially if you can find songs that's around like 4-minute mark. And then if all the songs like the same, then you can kind of time it with your exercise, right? And then that also helps. And I see Mohit's question that helps you stay on track. Like not just for you and for participant, you can be like, the song is ending, right? And then like wrap up your idea. And when the song ends, you can just move on to the next thing.
Following up with that idea, Joy, what I've done before is I look into playlists for RPM or like people that do cycling. Those songs that are usually 4 minutes and the RPM is like 130. So that means like pretty much the people is like pumping to just carry on. It's such a booster in terms of like mood, and that helps like quite a lot. Just look for like RPM on Spotify and you will find like 300 playlists. I'm gonna move to the next question because I can see we have a backlog already. How to determine the appropriate number of participants for the workshop. I will kick off in that one first. I will say, depending of the workshop and which one is your goal, there are like workshops that are like a little bit more intimate, and it's just pretty much like having the right person in the room. It doesn't make sense to just have like a workshop with like 40 people if at the end the decider is not there. But I will say like something I will manage is like to just feel like more confident. I will say like up to 20. Something like a number I feel like confident, because more than that is just hard to just make everyone feel heard. Something you would like to add, Joy or Chris?
I agree with you. I feel like it's more like how many cats are you gonna herd in a room, right? And then if you have more, then consider inviting people as co-facilitator to help you manage if you have to run a big workshop. But if it's a small one, especially for a strategic one, it's okay to just get like 8 to 12 in the room and just brainstorm. Then you can share out and ask for feedback.
Cool.
Yeah, don't start out with large numbers if you're doing this for the first time. Like facilitating effectively is about practice, and if you have to jump up into large numbers, like there's just a larger failure opportunity there that could be really problematic for everyone joining, right? So you start smaller, you get a sense of how you can facilitate those things well, then you can grow your numbers so you can, as Joy was saying, wrangle more cats. It can get kind of complicated, so just be mindful of those numbers.
Next question. Whoa, we have like a long backlog of questions, so I'm gonna try to just redirect it to each one. Where would you find activities related to a specific topic? Let's say, for example, a strategy. I run quite a lot of workshop for strategy, and then I guess like where you will find those is not the activity. I mean, I guess it's like first, it's like which one is the goal first of that workshop. There are very good books available about like which one will be like the exercises you can run, or like the objective you can define for the strategic session. Just keep thinking is if like a strategic session related to the product or related to or strategic just in terms of the brand. I really like storytelling for like strategic exercises. Like for example, if you're gonna run a brand exercise about like you're trying to define which one are your values, you can put your brand like a person and say like, if your brand went to a bar, what that person has in the right hand in the left pocket. So automatically everyone is like out of place. And then you'll give you like a deeper thinking about like which one will be like those two things you have in the right hand and in your left pocket. Something you would like to add, Joy or Chris?
I mean, there's lots of examples from places like Strategizer. I mean, there's whole agencies that are dedicated just to doing that are sharing and kind of doing their templates to some extent. Again, I think working backwards from what your goal is the best way to, like, don't just plop in like a matrix, for example. You want to say like, well, what is the goal of our group doing a strategy thing? So, and then you fill in what that equals.
I have a question for Joy. What is your favorite resource for brainstorming exercises? Any
favorite resource, like the materials or activities?
I guess they refer to the materials. And then when you can run exercises for brainstorming, how do you come up with like new ideas for brainstorming?
How do I come up with it? I'm having like brain fart right now because it's Friday night. Answer this question.
Yeah, I guess there are like a lot of exercises. Later on, we're gonna share a few resources, or you can find them in this next slide, also in the Miro board. Have a question for Chris. Can you touch? Oh, this is actually for you, Chris. You said like Chris. Can you touch in human interactions like HCI, like courses of future reading beyond your book?
I mean, there's a ton. I sent her a private message about an email. If you guys are actually interested in some of that, I can send you more. The role at which HCI and UX kind of overlaps, I think, is really strong. Like, I don't have a UCI background, but or HCI background, but I feel like as I've gotten more into writing and thinking about this stuff, it's all human-centered relationships, and we build computer stuff. So yeah, there's a ton, and I can send you some resources if you want it.
Next question, Mohit. Question, how do you get people to stay on track? And how do you choose who is the decider? Joy, that question for you.
All right, thank you. I know how to answer this. And I think I said previously, having a playlist is nice. Having a timer countdown is good too, to help people stay on track. And then I'll answer the decider question with Yasmin's question too. Yeah, so usually the decider could probably be your boss, right? Or like the director of product, right? Someone who actually in reality has a power of moving the outcome of this workshop forward, right? I would kind of call that person also a stakeholder of the workshop. If that person is also participating, then I would usually assign that. And then sometimes it would be like the director of UX, right? That the director of design, like those would be nice people to have as a decider.
Cool, thank you. Next question, Vivian. Sometimes we got an hour buffer, but has to pull out all the proposed agenda into the single session. How would you prioritize the activities in that case? I will say quickly that pretty much like if you have like lots to going through and you have only 1 hour, don't aim for all of the exercises, just divide into workshops. Just don't try to write like everything in like 5 minutes and just try to restrict ideas. Just aim for like exercises and then create 2 or 3 workshops. Anything to add to that, Chris?
Yeah, less is more in that scenario. I mean, you can even see in our hour, like we had to speed that up pretty quickly. With practice, you'll get a sense of like how much you can accomplish in that time. But these things are highly efficient or highly productive. So by doing them well, you can then engender doing more of them. So that's the goal of like doing more workshops than fewer. And we all know the challenges of getting like stakeholders in a room and getting everyone kind of excited to do that. But if you start showing the value of that, hopefully that spins downhill. So like doing a strategy workshop at the end of the year might lead to a follow-up about how to execute that strategy in the beginning of the year, or something that like you want to not just say, oh, we did it and now we're done. It's like talk about why you want to do more of those, or say, hey, what we didn't get to, we could do next time, or something like that. But don't squeeze time. You're going to squeeze out quality.
Yeah. Question for you, Joy. How do we help participants think more ideas when there is silence?
If your guest list is people who are quiet, or they're not used to being in innovative workshops, in those cases, I love bringing in lightning talk guests, right? Like bringing in people from other teams, maybe other people showcasing like what they're working on, new technology that the company is working on, to be inspiration. So I think in those cases, just look for things that you can bring in, right? If it's lightning talks, you have guests, you can also share an article, right? And just have people start thinking about, okay, how do people feel about that? And I think there's different ways to help people generate ideas. And then I think there's two types of silence, right? There's silence and people just don't like to talk. And in those cases, you can think of some activities that applies to like more alone time, right? Like maybe crazy eights where you have to kind of just think and draw yourselves, versus if people are just idea dry, right? Then you can bring in inspirations.
Cool. Next question is, when is the best
Oh,
way?
I
to
would
practice-
one tip
Sure,
there
sure.
actually. One of the ways silence is one outcome of not having ideas. So sometimes did you not understand the instructions? What are we doing? Like you can repeat like what the rules are. The others can be like if you watch people crumple up this happens in physical world, but like people will crumple up an idea. And I always like to set the rules, since no ideas are bad ideas. You go uncrumple their idea and you like say, hey, why did you nope, that's for later, right? Like, what is this idea? Keep it, share it. Like you kind of force them to get bad ideas out and unbind them from this idea that they're doing it wrong or that they're gonna look foolish. So if you look foolish yourself as a facilitator, or say like come up with this dumb, crazy idea that you just get off the top of your head, that leads to other people to have the freedom to do that themselves.
Cool. Quickly, what is the best way to practice facilitating? Just starting doing workshops. You don't need to do them by yourself. You can just invite your best friend and then just do a workshop together. So you can have like 2 facilitators for like 8 people. The best way to just start is just kicking off and then just taking your ideas to just do a workshop and just invite your friends or like your people at work to just talk about like a simple topics or like ideation sessions. Ideations are like the easiest way to just start a workshop. Next, sorry, Chris, something you would like to add?
I was gonna say, start small. Do like
Yeah.
a quick 20 minutes with like your coworkers or something. Like, don't think they have to be a 2-hour with like all of the heads of your organization. Like that adds a lot of pressure to that. But if you're practicing, or you're getting like your other designers on your team, like, hey, I have this, I'm stuck. Let's get everyone together in a room. And if you have the rules established, then you can start practicing how to make those things better. Practice
And last
makes perfect
question.
in those scenarios.
Sorry, and the last question and the least, how do you identify when a conversation is not helping in facilitating the desired outcome of the meeting? Joy.
That one, I think it's just simple. Like you look back to the goal of your workshop, right? Usually there is a challenge statement or a problem statement that you're there to solve, and just ask yourself that question, right? Is the current discussion contributing to what we want for the goal or not? And then if you start feeling like it's derailing, or if people are stuck on a certain topic for way too long, then we can lean on the rules that we set early on, right? Or we can lean on the parking lot and say, hey, let's take this offline. We got to move forward.
Exactly, good point. Always have a car park as well. If someone is not adding to the value of the conversation, just take that person and say like, that's a good idea, move it on to the car park. Cool, we are almost getting to the end. Well, we are actually getting to the end. And then just would like to share like our ADP list profiles. You just can go to the workshop and find it there. Also like our LinkedIn. And then before to just wrap up the session, we share a few resources where you can go to, you just can click pretty much, and then just go to those links quite quickly. And then finally, to just wrap it up, I'm gonna share a link here that is gonna be a Google form. If you want to share your feedback, any ideas, something you would like to see in future workshops, please go there and just share your ideas. We would like to see if you think that actually this was rubbish, you just can come back and add whatever you want to say. We just want to hear your ideas. Something you would like to see, Joy, to wrap up the session before to wrap up?
No, I think this was great.
Yeah.
I think my last tip is probably like maybe it's your first time facilitating and then you're just nervous, right? But everyone is nervous first time facilitating, and then it's just practice time management, practice reading the room, making sure the energy is still high, right? And then whatever outcomes comes out of that workshop is the group's effort, right? And then you just kind of go with the flow most of the time.
Cool. Thank you,
Yeah.
Joy.
I was gonna say,
Chris?
just like we shared today, right? It's about planning. If you design and all these things, like you facilitate, you're thinking of an idea and you got to go execute it. But if you have a good plan and you go execute that the way that you think it is, it doesn't go well. Now you have a reason to why it didn't. Like this, oh, we didn't offer enough. Like I can tell you right now, we should have offered a little bit more time in our work in the exercise. That we didn't know. We took a gamble when we did that, and now if we did this thing again, we probably would say, hey, let's offer more space for that. You only learn that by doing it. But if you share it with, like, put the agenda together, share it with other designers who have done facilitation as well, they then have an intuition of like, oh, you know, that I don't think that's going to work, or hey, that's way too much time, or hey, you could shorten this, you can lengthen that. Like all those things are opinions, but they actually work out in your favor to refine and get better at doing this kind of work.
Cool. Awesome.
It's fun. It's not fun. Don't it's gotta be fun. We had fun. I can tell you that much.
Yeah. Just have fun in the session. Just to wrap it up, just have fun in the session. It's just very productive. This kind of like workshops, and don't feel like a little bit bad or just constrain a little bit yourself just because you think you are not good enough. I guess like we always starting the same kind of like stuff, like thinking we're not good enough, like just doing workshops, and the people is just very happy to help, and everyone want to be here at the end. Just please go to the form, provide your feedback, just be in touch, keep in touch through like ADP list link through LinkedIn. That will be amazing. And yes, I will see you all soon. Thank you very much for joining. Please go to the Google form, and thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great weekend.
Thank you for participating.
Super fun.
Have a great weekend. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.